Hi, and welcome to this video about dates, filters, and save views in Business Central. Over the last couple of decades, I've done a lot of training, both new user training and also refresher courses for people. And one of the things I like to focus on, and I've also noticed people tend to forget quite easily, is the best ways of using dates in Business Central and then building filters up around those dates and then being able to reuse them for easier and quicker use in the future. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to some of the basic concepts, then how to build the filters up, and then save those within views in Business Central. Hopefully you'll find it useful. If you do, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the comments on the video and on the website blog, I'll also put some of the details for the formulas that I use in the video and a link to Microsoft's Learn page to explain a bit more about dates if you want to follow up with a bit more detail. Thanks. For each of these topics, I will go through a couple of slides just to give you a bit of information and background about what I'm going to be covering, and then we'll have a look in Business Central to show you how to put this into practice. So the topics I'm going to cover are date basics. This will be an introduction to dates and get you to understand some of the shortcuts that you can use within Business Central to create dates quickly. Then we'll look at simple date filters. That's taking dates and using them within views to allow you to filter down the data that you're seeing in Business Central. Date calculations then allow you to manipulate the date that you've got. So to look for a particular period, for instance, in the future or in the past. And then advanced date filters, rather, are more complex filters where you can combine some of these different elements to create ranges or specific dates that you want to look for. And then save views are the ways to save those filters that you've already applied and then to reuse them in the future and share them with some of your colleagues if you want to as well. So let's get started looking at date basics. In date basics, the first thing we're going to cover is system versus work date. So what are they and how can you best use them? We then look at entering part dates. So no more need to enter all those slashes and put the full date in. You can do it with a couple of key presses instead. We then look at date shortcuts. So what are the different date shortcuts? How can you use them in dates? And then later on, we'll also use those in the date formulas that we're using as well. It's worth noting, as I said there, that the date shortcuts I've got on screen are not case sensitive. So don't feel like you have to put it in uppercase all the time. You don't need to. So let's go and have a look at these and see how you use them in Business Central. So here we are in Business Central. I'm in Acronis database. The first place I'm going to look is at my settings. So I'm clicking on the cog, going to my settings, and you can see here a field called work date. Every time I log into the system, the work date sets to be my system date, which is the 3rd of May today. You can change the work date. This is particularly useful if, for instance, you're carrying out a series of tasks that you want to use a particular date for. So if you're an accountant doing your month-end processes, you could change this work date to be the last day of the previous month. So the 30th of the 4th, 2024. That then means I've got two different dates. I've got the system date, which is still the 3rd of May, but I've also got the work date in the system, which is the 30th of April. So we say OK to that. We'll then go and look at a general journal. So we go to the general journal, go to the default batch, and in here you can see if I click in to create a new line, the posting date and the VAT date default to be my work date, the 30th of April, which is great. So I can now create all my journals, and then at the point that I finish my month-end processes, I can reset my work date to be my system date, or if I log out and log back in, it will reset it for me. Likewise, if you go through and create some new documents, like a new sales order, and you set your work date, when I create a new one, you can see that the dates have all been set to the work date in the system, which is the 30th of the 4th, 2024. So that's a quick way that you can change the date and get the date to automatically fill in with a particular date that you'll be using repeatedly in your workday. So the next thing we'll look at is entering dates in a short format. So when you're entering a date, normally you'd enter the whole thing. So you say the 30th of the 4th, 2024. What's that? That's 10 different key presses, isn't it? In Business Central, the first thing to note is you don't need to put the slashes in. So you can just say 30th 04 2024, and it knows that it's that date. Or you can say 30th of the 4th, 24. So you don't need, again, to put the full year in. It's also a bit cleverer than that. So if you put in a particular day, it will assume that the day you've entered is in the current work month. So if I put in the 30th, you can see that it fills it out to be the 30th of April 2024. And likewise, if you put in the day and the month, so the 30th of the 4th, it knows that you're in 2024 because of the work date in the system and will fill in the rest of the date for you. So you don't need to sit there and enter all 10 characters. You can say, I'm doing something for the 28th. And because we're in April on the work date, it fills in the rest of the date for you. So again, nice quick way of entering dates in the system. Some of the other quick shortcuts that are worth remembering are, for instance, W, which is work date. So if I just enter a W in there, it will default in the work date that I've got set in my settings. Likewise, T means today, and that uses the system date. So my system, my PC, is the 3rd of the 5th, 2024, so it fills in that date for me there. The next area we're going to look at is basic date filters. So in basic date filters, this allows you to set the dates that you want to view data for. So the main bit here is these two little dots, which are to and from. So you can use them between a date range, at the start of a date range, after a date range. So we'll have a look at that. I'll also show you the P date filter, which allows you to use accounting periods that you've got set up in the system. So let's go into Business Central and have a quick look at how we use these. I'm here in Business Central and I've opened up the posted sales invoice page, which gives me a list of all the invoices that have been posted in my system. I'm going to show the filter pane. I'll click on the icon up there and you can see I've already got a few different save views. So I've got unpaid, paid, cancelled orders, but I want to filter on all of the invoices in a particular date or date range. So I'm going to add in the posting date field in here and set a filter on this. So if I want to see everything that's been posted on a particular day, I can enter that date in here. So if I say the 30th of the 4th, I could see any invoices posted on that particular date, of which there aren't any. Maybe I'd like to see everything which has been posted up to the 30th of the 4th. So I can use those two dots. So it's two full stops or periods if you're in America, and then the date that I want to go up to. So 30th of the 4th. And if I enter, this then shows me all of the invoices posted in the system up to and including the 30th of April. If I click out the field, you can see that it does give me the whole date there. But when I click back into it, it just shows me what I've typed in. I can also show everything from a particular date. So it could be show me everything that's been posted since the 1st of April. So if I type 0104 and then the two dots, it shows me everything posted since the start of April. So this allows me to start looking at data within the system that has been posted in a particular date range. Maybe I want to see what's happened in March. So you can filter the entire date range for March by doing 0103 ... 3103. If I click out of that, this then shows me all of the invoices posted within that particular month. So this is starting to be quite useful now because it allows you to go through and see data within that particular date range. You can also use accounting periods. So in this system here, if we look at accounting periods, unfortunately, I think in the demo system, they're all set up to be the same as the calendar year. But I've got these date accounting periods here. So the 1st of the 1st, 2022, for instance, and in 24, it starts in January the 1st, 2024. I can also use a particular shortcut for periods. So P1 will show me accounting period 1 in the current year that I'm in. So if I press P1 and click out, you see it gives me the entire date range there. So I've got 1st of January to the 31st. And likewise, if I do P12, it will pick up the dates for December. So the 1st of December to the 31st of December. So you can start doing quick filters to show you things in a particular accounting period that you've got set up in your system. The next thing we'll look at is date calculations. So date calculations are a way of taking a particular date and then manipulating it into a different date. There are various shortcuts you use in date calculations, which are fairly obvious. So D is days, W is weeks, M is months, Q is quarters, and Y is years. And you can use these with a number prefix. So for instance, if you want to add 3 days to a date, you'd say plus 3D, or if you want to add a year, you do plus 1Y. You can also use the letter C, and if you use this before a particular month or year, for instance, it will take you to the end of the current date or the start of the current date. So plus CM means take me to the end of the current month, and minus CM means take me to the start of the current month. In isolation, this doesn't make a great deal of sense, so we're going to move on to the next step now, which is advanced date filters, and show you how you can start putting these all together. Advanced date filters. So this is taking the basic date information we've looked at and then combine it with the date calculations to then start building filters. So I've got some examples on screen, which we're going to walk through in Business Central and show you how these calculations get used within Business Central. And then the next step will be how we use these in views to save them and then to reuse them in the future. So there's a few examples here. We're going to look at some simple ones. So 1 month from today, a year ago, and then we'll start building up slightly more complex ones, end of month, end of next month, whole of a particular month, last month or next month. And then also using this, the Holy Grail, using the accounting periods, particularly if your accounting periods don't match the calendar years. These are really useful filters. I'm aware that some people learn and see things in different ways. So before we go into Business Central, I'm going to show you visually how these calculations are made and how Business Central interprets them. So hopefully that might make it a bit clearer for some people. So let's have a couple of further slides just to walk through some of these examples. For these calculations, I've set my work date back to the 3rd of the 5th, so the 3rd of May. And we're going to use that as the starting point for all the calculations. So in this one, it's W plus 1M. So we're starting with our work day, which is the 3rd of May, and then we're moving forward 1 month. So add 1 month to that, it becomes the 3rd of June. Nice and simple. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. If you're going backwards, minus 1M, it will take you back to the 3rd of April. So now we're looking at the work date plus 1M plus CM. So this is saying, take me to next month, and then take me to the end of that month. So from the work date, we move forward 1 month to the 3rd of June, and then the plus CM takes you on to the 30th of June. So go forward 1 month and then take me to the end of that month. Again, I think that's fairly simple once you get your head around it. This is a bit more complicated. This one is a range. So we're looking for a range of dates. So we're given a starting date, which is before the 2 dots, and then an end date, which is after the 2 dots. So the first part is from the work date, go forward 1 month. So that takes us to the 3rd of June. Then take us back, so minus CM, back to the start of June, which is the 1st of June, obviously there. Then the second part is take us forward 1 month again to the 3rd of June, and then take us up to the end of June. So that's the 30th of June there. So that then gives us our end date. That then means that we've created a range there, which is from the 1st of June up to the 30th of June. So that will show us everything that's been recorded between those 2 dates. Likewise, if you want to go backwards a month and look at the previous month, we've got this W minus 1M minus CM, which means start with the work date, go back 1 month to the 3rd of April, then go back to the start of the month, and that gives us our starting point. And then we go from the work date back 1 month to the 3rd of April, and then go forward to the end of that month, which then gives us a range of the 1st of April through to the 30th of April. Now when I show it to you in Business Central, I'm also going to combine it with the Save Views functionality. So let's have a quick look at Save Views, and I'll walk you through what I'm going to do with those steps in Business Central. With Save Views, we're going to cover 3 key areas. So the first of those is building the actual view itself, which is, again, nice and simple. Then saving that view and naming it. And then finally, sharing that view with other people in your organization. So let's go into Business Central now and combine saving views with the date formulas that we've just calculated. Because of the data in the Cronus database that I'm using, I've set my work date back to the 8th of March 2024. So when you see the dates calculated, it's based on that work date. I'm in the posted sales invoices. There's quite a good list to be working on with dates to have get a feel for how you can use these. Now, here we've got the filter list by, and we can add filters to filter the list that we've got on the right-hand side. So one of the things I might do is filter on the due date. Now, if I want to filter to see everything that's due up to 1 month from the work date, I can do the ... and then W plus 1M. And if I tab out, you can then see that I've got a filter there showing me all the invoices that have a due date up to and including the 8th of April 2024. It's great. Likewise, we can change that, and you can see when I click in there that it automatically retains the formula. It's not resolved to particular dates, it's just a formula that's in there. So I can change that to be 1Y and click out, and I'll go up to the 8th of the 3rd, 2025. Now, as this is posted sales invoices, it would be quite useful to see what is going to be due, for instance, next month or up to the end of next month. So we can come into here and we can change this to say, right, we start with the work date, so up to the work date, and then I want to go forward by 1 month, as we saw in the earlier examples on the slides, and then CM. So going forward a month, then up to the end of next month. This is everything that's due up to and including the end of next month. This is all based on the due date. So you can also see here, though, that some of these have got a remaining amount of 0, which means they've actually been paid already. So we can start looking in a minute at changing this view to include additional pieces of information. But let's just finish off with the dates here. So we've got up to the end of the month. So that's W plus CM, again, end of this month. Whole of next month is one we looked at. So we've got W plus 1M minus CM, so that takes us up to the start of next month, and then dot dot W plus 1M plus CM. As we click out, you can see that's given us the 1st of April 2024 up to the 30th of April 2024. So again, hopefully that's starting to give you an idea about how you can use these filters and how easy it is to maintain them in the system. We mentioned periods, accounting periods, so we could use P1, which is accounting period 1. So that's the 1st of the 1st, 2024 up to the 31st of the 1st, 2024. But you can also use it as a range. So I could say P1 dot dot P3, which gives me a range of the first quarter. So the 1st of the 1st up to the 31st of the 3rd, 2024. And you can also do calculations with these. So one of the ones that I was playing with is looking at the last financial year. And for that, we would say P1 minus 1y. So we're looking at period 1 from a year previously up to P12 minus 1y. When we click out, you then see that we get the last financial year. So the 1st of the 1st, 23 to the 31st of the 12th, 2023. And if you just want one particular part of that, so for instance, everything up to the end of last year, you could use P12. You have to use a plus CM. You need to pick just the last date of that period and then go back 1 year. And if we click out of there, you can then see that we've got everything up to the 31st of the 12th, 2023. So the last bit is how we can then save some of these views. Now, as I said previously, we have a number of invoices here that have remaining amounts of 0, which means they've been fully paid off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these pre-saved views up here. So unpaid, for instance. If I click into that, you can see it already is excluding cancelled and closed invoices. So it's only showing me open invoices. I can then add an additional filter to this of due date, for instance, and ask it to show me everything that's due up to the end of the next month. So then I've got, so everything's open and due up to the end of April 2024, or maybe I want to show everything that's due within the month. So plus 1M minus CM. So then I've got everything that's due next month, which is still open. And I can then save that. So up here, I click on the little assist edit up here and save as. And I can call it due next calendar month. And hit enter. I've then got that view saved in my own profile. So whenever I come back into this, so if I go off somewhere else and a week later I come back into my posted sales invoices, that view will still be there as a save view. And when I click on it, it will automatically update based on the work date that I've got. So because it's using the work date, as my work date changes, either as the days move on, or if I change it manually to be the 1st of the 2nd, for instance. If I then click back into that, you can see this date here is then recalculated to be March. So because it's not using a fixed date, because it's using the work date, it will constantly update every time you go into that view. So again, save views are very, very useful. One slight issue with this view is that it's only saved for me. So if you want to use this particular view for a number of different people, perhaps you've got a team working in the accounts department that want to be able to see the due next calendar month invoices, you need to make it available to them. To do that, you need to customize the profile. So I'll probably do another video on this at some point in the future, but as a very quick overview, if you go to profiles and look at the profile roles there, you can pick the one that you want to update. So it might be the accountant, for instance. And then under here, we can say customize pages. We then go to the same page again. So we're going to go to the posted sales invoice. And you'll see it's not there. But if I now add that view in, and then when I've finished, click on done, that will save that particular view that I've built into this profile. So anyone that's assigned that profile will then be able to see that view. So again, a very quick, easy way of sharing it amongst a group of people. So that's the end of this little session on date and date filters and saving views. I hope you've all found it very useful. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you found it of use. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the video. You can also follow us on other forms of social media with our Quick Dynamics tag, and you can visit our website at quickdynamics.co.uk. Thanks again.